Podclass. Welcome to the Teaching Today podcast. My name's Jeremiah and my co-host,
Kristen Nigro,
are here today talking about all of the advice for the modern educator that we can possibly cram into our 52 minutes we have together today. How's your summer been so far?
You know, it's actually been very relaxing. To be able to wake up whenever I want and go to bed whenever I want is actually a very nice thing.
Definitely one of the best parts of the job for sure, right?
Absolutely.
So today we have a bunch of stuff to talk about. We're gonna start off today with a very hot button issue, so to speak. Came out just the other day that the district would be eliminating the dean position in the middle and high schools, and I've received several listener comments that are concerned with not just school safety, but also that now that this position is going to be eliminated, that the responsibilities are going to fall on other educators. So with us here today is CCA's political field coordinator, Linda Jones, to talk about some of those issues and hopefully alleviate some of that concern you might be experiencing.
Well, thank you very much for having me here, Jeremiah and Kristen. Yes, we too have heard from our members and non-members and concerned people, and rightly so, that there is a fear that with the deans being out of that role, that now their school safety is going to be an issue. There's concerns with the violence that is taking place at some of the school campuses. And so what I'm here to talk about is a law, which is SB 555. It was passed late in the session, and it is a section in there, specifically section 43, that's on page 30, and it talks about the different allocation for school safety. So basically, my understanding of this law is that this school year in 1920, there is $1.5 million that is going to be allocated for additional school safety resource officers and or school police. Next school year in the 2021, there will be a $3 million allocation for school safety resources officers as well as school police. What does that mean? That means that because the deans are absent, it doesn't mean that the schools are more vulnerable. As a matter of fact, the way that these people are going to be allocated at the school level, they're going to take into account student discipline data, school safety data, school crime data, school vulnerability data, school climate data, and whether or not the school themselves have the ability to bring on these extra officers to help offset some of these safety concerns. The Nevada Department of Education will be the ones that's making the disbursement, and this money can only be utilized in this way. So basically now you have more of an even laser focus on school safety, which is something that has been the priority of lawmakers as well as the upper echelon of CCSD. So I think it's a good thing that we actually have something in place. And to those people that are worried that now they're going to have the responsibility dealing with behavior shifted to them. And I'm talking specifically school counselors, school psychologists, and school social workers. There is another bill that was passed this session. It was SB 319. And what that bill did is it really defined the role of a school counselor and a school psychologist and a school social worker, more specifically their duties and how much time they can spend on contract time doing other duties that are not part of their core responsibility. And that was a really good law to have. So basically, it says that they can't spend more than 20% of their time doing anything other than counseling or being a social worker or being a school psychologist, managing their caseloads and things of that nature. So my expectation is that they won't be pulled into those situations. But if and when that happens, there's laws in place to protect them. And we would need to know about that.
Yes, absolutely.
We thank you so much for your time today, Linda, and we will definitely be keeping our eyes on this and looking forward to what the district has in store for these funds that are dedicated to school safety.
Yeah, and Linda, I was going to ask you again, just what were the bills that were in place again, just to cover?
Exactly. I'm glad you asked me that because I was going to share this final thought. So the bill that deals with the definition of the roles of school social workers, school counselors, and school psychologists is Senate Bill, so SB 319. and the bill as far as the extra resources, school safety resource officers and school police officers and those monies, that's SB 555. So anyone wishing to look up any one of those bills, my suggestion would be to either Google Nevada Legislature 2019 or go on Nellis, and that's capital NELIS, and type in those bill numbers, and you can go to the overview, but I suggest you read the text. And as it relates to the school safety officers, that's on page 30. It's section 43, paragraph 6 and 7.
Thank you for those really good details. So there's going to be a lot of good literature for people to be reading in regard to these bills.
My pleasure.
All right. And again, we wanted to thank Linda Jones, CCA Political Field Coordinator, for her time today and addressing those concerns that we've heard from the community so far.
I'm sorry, and not to interject real quick, but I really feel that's a really important thing that she gets that information out there, because I feel like it was such a surprise to everybody that there's a lot of really mixed emotions and intentions are running high. So for her to be able to come in and kind of give like a little bit of background information about what's going on in all of the Senate bills that are in place to protect. I encourage everybody that's listening to go ahead and do some research on this, just because that'll give you a better understanding of where we stand.
And that was Nellis, NELIS, was the legislative place you can look those up. But moving on into our main topic today. So CCSD every year, we know, has about 500, at any given time, about 500 vacancies. And starting off this school year, they'll be hiring about 1,500 to 1,800 new employees. And so we wanted to take today our inaugural episode, and kind of share with you some of our experiences with our first year teaching. Teaching is obviously not the least stressful career choice you could take. And so we have found an article on Edutopia by Alina Aguilar called 10 Tips for Surviving and Thriving Your First Year Teaching. We're kind of going to dissect that today and tell you our experiences, not just from secondary, but also from elementary, and how those worked out for us, and how hopefully you can benefit from our experiences and take those into your first year teaching.
It's funny because they have these 10 tips and tricks of how to survive your first year of teaching. And to be quite honest, these are like the holy grail of what you need to do, because just like you said, when you're dealing with your first year, at least I know from my standpoint, when I was dealing with my first year of teaching, there was a lot of emotions and feelings that ran through me, because I wanted to make sure that I was there for my 20 kindergartners that I had at the time, and I wanted to be the best teacher, and I had all these ideas and these great things that I was going to do, but then there's different things you don't realize that are part of the job that you're like, oh my gosh,
for sure, I really
need to think about this, and oh my gosh, RTI, oh my gosh, I felt like just so overwhelmed. So Elena Aguilar, she came out with this wonderful article, and just like Jeremiah said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look through these 10 different tips and tricks to hopefully help ease that beginning of the school year, which is fastly approaching. And so let's go ahead and just, I guess, kick it off. First one is building community. So, I guess from my standpoint in the elementary setting, most of us, we're all unicorns and rainbows as it is, but it's so important to be able to get out there and to know your colleagues and network with them. One of the things that I found was, if it's not too overwhelming, is definitely if there's opportunities to do committees, even just joining a committee, just so you can get that camaraderie. So one of the ones that I did is I joined the Sunshine Committee, which was really cool because I like doing party planning and retirements and weddings and, baby showers. So, and it's one of those things that it's the feel-good committee where it makes you feel like, you're part of something, you're planning, a purposeful event for somebody's, major milestone that they're getting ready to have. And so that's how I really was able to go out there and talk with a lot of my colleagues, and one thing I will say is don't be shy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a shy person. I mean, I'm sure a lot of whoever's listening, they probably, if they know me, they know, oh Lord, she's not shy. But, please go out and make friends with these people, because these are the people that are going to support you. So what is your experience in secondary like this? So,
a lot of the same thing. And like you said, in any other profession, you would call this networking. And that's basically what you really need to do. I know my first year, and again, I teach at a high school, one of the things is that they had a committee that was all new teachers. So we had to go have a meeting every month with the new teacher administrator, and they just kind of talk and address our concerns, and that way we talked about the new people in the building, and we kind of got to know each other. So that's one way. Also joining things like Sunshine Committee, going to the social events. Again, in high school, it's a little bit easier, I think, because we have so many after-school activities. Our school runs a tailgate for the football game. So all the teachers come out to watch the football games. We have like potluck. So it's really good kind of social get-together. But it's not just important to network within your building. You also got to kind of keep an eye towards networking in the district at large. And so a lot of the things that CCA does, especially for new teachers, is a great way to meet other educators outside your building. Going to the professional developments that the district offers is another great way to kind of meet with people that teach in your subject. And it's always good to have more people to bounce those ideas around, and especially first year. Let me ask you a question just while we're thinking about this. And I'm going to come out and say it. I started teaching when I was 28.
Oh, wow.
Grown man. And I can't remember how many times at the end of the day I was just so emotionally wrung out that I would cry.
Oh, yeah.
Did you kind of have that same experience?
It's funny. I am not necessarily a crier, but teaching I know but teaching definitely was one of those things that made me cry, because it's like you are your own worst critic, and you sit there and you replay the events that took place during the day, and you really have to ask yourself, like, did I do what I needed to do? Did I hit the standards? I mean, you're talking, we only have so much time in a day with these kiddos. And I mean, I know even now, I mean, I'm going to my 7th year of teaching, and I literally, towards the end of this school year, was flipping through my long range plans going, oh my gosh. And I'm just, exactly. Yeah. And it's like the most overwhelming feeling, because you don't want to shortchange any of these kids. So, but yes, no, I was totally there. I can remember sitting in my portable, and I was like what I like to call like in my little trailer park, because that's where we were. And my friend Erin O'Donnell, her and I, we came up together at UNLV, and we both started the same time at Hewitson. And I literally would go in her room and just slump down in her desk, and we would just kind of stare at each other for a couple minutes until we finally broke silence and been like, well, how was your day? So yes. So there's nothing wrong with crying.
No.
Please. No. Oh, yes.
Your first year is definitely going to be an emotional roller coaster.
Oh, for sure.
And like for me, I think it wasn't so much, I don't think I got so focused on like the actual job part of it, but coming to the other side of the desk. Right, when you were in school, when you were in high school, elementary school, and you saw the teacher as this one way, you never really think about it. But then when I became a teacher, and now I have all of their stories. I feel like sometimes I take the weight of their whatever's going on in their world.
Oh, for sure.
And it piles down on your shoulders. So we're going to try to talk about addressing some of that later. I'm kind of getting to jump ahead, but it's just such an interesting thing to think about.
And it really is. I was thinking about how it brings me back to when I was in high school in chemistry. I had Mrs. Yadav. She was amazing. And she was like a coveted piece of Lewiston Porter Elementary School. High school. And I literally feel it's crazy to think about how at one point, I mean, I don't know, I'm sure you've had educators where you're just like, oh my gosh, they're literally your person.
Yeah.
Yes. And
they're
then
now
you're that person where you're the rock star, and these kids look up to you. And I'll tell you what, that's one of the most rewarding parts of the job too, where you're just, I mean, it's an amazing feeling. So, all right, sorry.
No worries. Let's go on to number 2, and number 2 is finding a hopeful, positive mentor. And this is something that you definitely, this goes even further into community, because this is going to be your one-on-one person. I don't know, do you watch Grey's Anatomy?
Your person, yes.
Your person, right? Christina, and I've been watching, that's what I've been doing with my summer so far, is watching Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, summer's wonderful.
But anyways, so your person, and so your person is going to be someone, a veteran teacher who can come and calm you down when you're overwrought and say, oh my gosh, you know, it's fine. You got another day. Tomorrow's a new day. Yes. And I think that was one of my things, for not even just my first year, but like, we're on block schedule at my school, and so there's A day and B day, and I always said B day is going to be a better day because
B for better
because I would have that chance to run through for the first time. But anyways, mentor. I was so lucky to get my mentor, James Frazee.
He's wonderful. I adore him,
and he has been my rock since my first year teaching. So, what kind of experience did you have with finding mentors?
So one of the best things about elementary school is you have some happy teachers, because you have to be in order to work with all the little ones. But I had a great mentor. I had Maria Mullins. She was our kindergarten chair, and she was just a godsend. The things that she showed me, the tips and tricks that she gave me, I was very blessed in that regard. We also had another mentor was Gail Rivard. She was incredible. And one of the things that, just like you said, they always preach that common thing of tomorrow's a new day. Don't be so hard on yourself. And again, that's what you really, as a new teacher, you want to look for someone. And the key word in this is positive. You know, sometimes you see there's some educators floating around in, you know, the lounge that are tending to be, you know, there's just not many things that make them happy anymore, and they're ready to move on down the road. And so it's important that you do find that educator that's going to, you know, support you, that's going to carry your, you know, weight when you're feeling it's a little too heavy. And I was lucky because they gave me all their, you know, long range plans to look. I mean, of course, we planned together as a grade level, but just trying to show me, like, you know what, when we do this standard, this is the things that I use. And if you want to, let me help you make this, or let me help you do this. And it's helpful because when you're carrying that weight as a first year teacher, it's, you know, just one more thing is going to, you know, break the back.
You think you can't be a rock. You can't be an island upon your. I don't know if I'm saying right, but I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Oh, absolutely.
You really have to let somebody help you.
Yes.
Your first, not just first year, but first several years.
Pretty much your career. That's what I found, at least.
Teaching is not a solo profession.
No.
For that, for sure.
And you know what, honestly, to get these ideas from other educators too, having input from different ways that they do, like currently where I'm at now, Mrs. Kuzma, she is incredibly smart. She's like a savant. It's the craziest thing. And her the way that she delivers science to these 5 and 6 year olds is like incredible. And, you know, she came in and gave us the resources that she was using, and it really, you know, stuck with my kids, and they were doing so well with, like one of the things was the push and pull standard that we have in kindergarten. And having the different inputs is just, you know, it's helpful because you don't know, maybe the way you're doing it is not, you know, necessarily going to get to your kids, but someone else might have another idea. So, and then that goes back to, you know, being, you know, having those positive, you know, mentors per se.
Sure. What about next one?
Oh, yeah. So asking for help and demanding good professional development. Yes. My friends out there in CCSD land, we have, if you've been on the ELMS site, you will see we have a lot of professional development. I was actually sifting through it a couple days ago looking, and I mean, the things that are available, just, I mean, for elementary school, I mean, I haven't looked for the secondary because
sure.
I obviously don't teach that. But like, I actually, I think it was like the second or third year of teaching, I took these math courses where they gave us these books, and it taught me how to decompose numbers and how to do number bonds and all these crazy things that I never even thought of. And they gave us the books for free. So you just have to find these professional developments are out there, and usually you'll get like some literature to take with you. And even if they're not paid, it's okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a lot. You're going to get a lot of information out of it. So
I will be honest, I have not done nearly as much PD as I should have done in these last couple years. My first 2-3 years,
of course,
partly because you new hires don't know this, but you used to have 45 hours of onboarding training.
Oh, I remember that when we had to do the emus. Do you remember the emus or whatever they were at Container Park?
You had to
Those were great.
You had to do 45 hours of onboarding, and now I know it's like 15 or something.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine.
It's all right.
We'll give that to you.
We're not haters.
You got a lot on your plate. But no, professional development, we have SBCT. I don't really know how that works in elementary. I know it's an hour a week.
Yes.
You get to spend with your colleagues. Sometimes there'll be your administration running it. But I remember my first 3 years when I was, first 2 years doing my onboarding, then I just was doing it for a couple other things. I took a We the People class because I'm a history teacher.
Oh, cool.
And I paid $15 for the We the People class, and it was a 6 PDE course.
Oh, for $15?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
They gave me a set of books for my class to teach it, and I was actually lucky. I got in on a cohort, so I actually got my $15 back plus another $475.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, those are the professional developments you want to find, people.
You find those ones. They do ones on. I saw this really cool one. I might even see if we can find him one time. But Real Talk by Dr. Brown.
Oh wow!
It was he came in to this we were at the Texas station, and he was walking around, and he looked like he was dressed up like a bum, and he's got like these long dreadlocks, right? And he's coming around and messing with different tables, talking to people, trying to get he was acting like a beggar.
Oh wow! Okay.
And then it sort of reveals that you can't let appearances kind of cloud your judgment and things like that. So it was really good. Anyway.
Well, I imagine there was a lot of shocked faces when they revealed themselves, like, oh my gosh, I yelled at him and told him to get lost. No?
So, but outside of CCSD, I've had the very lucky privilege, and this is something that's open to all teachers, not even just first year. NEH, the National Endowment for the Humanities, they run summer institutes every year. And now I think they're 2 weeks long all the time, but you get like a $2,000 stipend, and you go kidding. And the one I did was on Thomas Jefferson at Monticello, and so it's a week-long, 2 week long now, 2 week long professional development that's intensive study on whatever topics. And it's not just open to history, it's open to English, it's open to anybody who can incorporate the idea that topic is like there's ones for Shakespeare's plays, and you go to New York and you do a workshop in New York with a theater company that works on Shakespeare and things like that.
And now who is this through?
It's called the National Endowment for the Humanities, and they run those every year. So that's a real cool. And I know there was a talk, and we'll have to check on this, and we'll put it in the links if it's come out finally. CCA had built a book for all of these different grant opportunities, travel opportunities for professional development for teachers. So that's one of the perks in addition to things for professional development. So you get an opportunity to visit different places in the world.
That's actually that's cool. I didn't know about that. So, and that goes back to, you made me think about asking for help. So one of the things is I have no shame in my game. I will go out and I will ask businesses. I'll go out. not to kind of veer away, but I went and talked to Smith's, and I asked them to see if they would give me a gift card to provide families with meals. They gave me a $500 gift card. I went to Emerald Island in downtown Henderson. I had a project going for Donors Choose, and I asked if they would donate money because we wanted to get a camera to document our school year. They gave me, I want to say it was almost $150 towards the project. So that asking for help, that's key. That is so key when it's in regards to, don't be afraid to ask for, even if it's for financial things for your classroom.
Yeah. I have for my extracurricular, I was doing board games.
Oh,
and
cool.
It turned out one of a big, it's called iYellow, is a game producer. And anyways, they ended up having a program. He said, hey, can we get some games for our board game club? And say, yeah, you just pay $10 for shipping or something like that.
Right.
So, there are things out there. You just have to be willing to ask.
Oh, yeah. Never be afraid to ask. Usually people are like, oh, my God, you're an educator? Yeah, you're a teacher. What do you need, darling? That's usually what I get. They're like, oh, they know.
All right. So moving on to our next point, observing other teachers. So this is another good way for working on your professional development. We were talking off the air a little bit earlier, and so we're kind of going to go into that. But for a secondary, it's a bit different. So I'll let Kristen talk first on this and kind of let her points come out, and then I'll jump in with some other stuff.
Sure. So observing other teachers, definitely as a first year teacher, I can think back to all the things that I had, yet to still learn. We actually, at our elementary level, we have strategists. So the two that are at my school right now, Miss Overland and Miss Timmons, great people. They always, in the beginning, when we do our first back to school meetings, they always tell the people that are new to our school, if you ever want to observe anybody in your grade level or anything else, let us know and we will come and cover your class. And that'll give you a chance to go and take your notes, watch whoever it is that you want to, so they can perform their lesson. That is probably one of the best things that I did, as even I still do it now, and I'm moving on my 7th year of teaching. Yeah. Where, you go in, and if there's something that you're like, man, you know what, this just wasn't working. This is something that maybe I want to brush up on a little. Like we were talking about Miss Kuzma. I went in and I, watched one of her writing lessons because her students are such beautiful writers by the end of the school year that I'm like, what are you doing in there? So I go in and I watched her, and the accountability that she has these students take on, they run the class. And at the same time, I think it was Miss Timmons, she went in and covered me, and it was such a good thing to witness, because sometimes you just need that step away from your class to see what others are doing and to see how they're getting those standards and how they're introducing or how they're teaching those standards.
Yeah, no, I remember my first year, and my administrator had told me, you need to go and watch this teacher. Mm-hmm. But we don't really have the strategy, so it's kind of expected you to do on your prep. So, okay. And that's fine. And as long as they're not mandating it, that's fine. But right. I did take that advice, and I still, like I said, I still go and I'll see Mr. Frazee teach, because he develops such a rapport with his kids. It's incredible.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
And and I kind of strive to make sure I do that. But yeah, going and finding a lesson, and again, I teach history, and I teach world history. So my content area, the stuff I'm supposed to know is crazy. And I hate when kids ask questions that I don't know the answer to.
You're like, let me Google that. Give me a second.
I'll find out.
Alexa.
So, but yeah, no, it is such a key tool in our educator toolbox to go and watch somebody who's been doing it for a while. You get into your student teaching, you've done your student teaching, you're like, you feel like you're going to be this rock star. Mm-hmm. You feel like you're going to be this rock star. You're going to change the world your first year. And you're going to get there and you're going to be like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah. Your jaw hits the ground.
So, it's okay. We've all gone there, and when you watch those veteran teachers, they make it look easy, but it's like any performing job where you're putting on a show for these kids. Really.
Oh, for sure, it's acting seriously all the time. I love it.
So that's what it is. So go watch, take notes. just keep your eyes open, and your administrators will know who the rock stars are, so to speak, and they'll point you in the direction if you ask. You know, you can ask, say, hey, who do you think I should go observe?
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely from all like the observations that they do for the teachers. I mean, for sure, they're like, oh, you need science, go see this teacher. You need social science, go see this teacher. One of the other things too is definitely keep a binder of your observational notes that you do with these teachers, so that way if you ever need to refer back, I mean, binders, I know they tend to take up room sometimes, and if you're more of an iPad or a Chromebook type of person, but that was one of the things. I actually just came across my binder.
Please don't come into my classroom with a Chromebook and start typing away, because that is what the administrators do, and then it sends shivers down my spine.
Oh yeah,
so.
Exactly. Like, what are you writing in there? Can I see? No. All right. So what's our next? Oh, our next big tip or trick, as you will, is we have in here. Well, Miss Aguilar has do home visits. We had talked about this again a little bit off air about the. For safety purposes, I don't know, Jeremiah, what would you say? I mean, it's probably not the best thing to just drop in without, unannounced.
Yeah, I did it one time because I had accidentally, well, not accident, I don't know if you say accidentally. I had taken a student's cell phone and they didn't get to me before the end of the day to grab it. Mm-hmm. And so I felt really bad, and so I took it back down to the house. But that's the only time I ever visited a house, and it wasn't like a home visit.
Right,
I'm doing air quotes. I realize this is not a visual medium we're working at now. But while we don't want to do home visits, we do. It is a 100% do encourage parent engagement.
Oh, for sure.
When the district has a lot of tools for you to do that, it has Infinite Campus. You can send messages through Infinite Campus, and obviously you have phone. Oh, yes. Our school, actually, we have another type of engagement we can do, which is they call them bulldog brags, and they're little postcards that we can send out, right, like a little note.
Oh, that's cool.
To say, hey, your kid did this today and it was really cool, or whatever you might want to do. That's and to kind of jump on that, you don't want to just engage parents when it's bad stuff, guys.
No. That's a quick way to lose trust real quick.
You really got to focus on, even if you just say, maybe if I say on Friday I'm going to do 5 calls. Okay, so by the end, especially like in let's say elementary, how many kids do you have about?
Anywhere between 20 to 25. It just depends.
So by the end of the first month of school, you have reached out and said, hi, I'm so-and-so, and your kid's in my class, and they're doing such a great job already. So then you've built that, you've established that relationship, and it's just something you can. So now when you call and say, okay, well, little Johnny today took a marker and wrote on little Jane's face.
Oh, that sounds familiar, actually. I can tell you a couple times that had happened.
You kind of have that, you have established that relationship. And so that's my kind of key for this is don't just engage when it's bad.
Of course.
You got, and I'm guilty of this, but it's in secondary we have 240 students.
Oh,
so
man.
It's a little harder, I think, at that point to do, but I do try and make an effort to either send out like an email, even if it's just like a mass email.
Right.
Or I'll pick a couple kids every week or so and call them and just say, hey, I realized this week, and so on and so forth. So that's important. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, and it's funny because when I was reading this earlier and they were talking about doing home visits, like I can think of a couple situations where you don't just want to drop in because you're worried something crazy is happening. Of course, you want to address that if that's the situation. That's a whole nother, it's a whole nother podcast.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
But, I do think home visits, it's appropriate during certain situations. So I feel like you definitely have to break that barrier down of, you have to establish a relationship with the parents. You don't want to just show up unannounced because, something happened and you got wind of it. But what I've actually, in my experience, I had a student this year, and the parents, they were very like open to me coming and like, stopping in to say hi. And we have a really good relationship now. So, and I just feel home visits are one of those tender subjects where you don't want to just, sometimes you have to let maybe CPS handle it. But if it's like a positive note, or I had a little boy who ended up in the hospital because he had a really bad asthma attack. We didn't go to the home, but I went to the hospital to go visit to check in. So things like that, totally, 100%. But when you're dealing more, if it's like a, kind of a sketchy situation, don't just go to the house. That's very dangerous, and that's not good for you.
And I do want to point out, if this does get out to parents out there, you can invite me to dinner anytime. There's not a lot I won't do for a free dinner. So,
yeah, exactly.
Parents,
yes.
I'm not encouraging that. Yes, I am. No,
yes, yeah. We'll just keep it where it's at. But no, I totally, and that's one of the things. Like I was, able to go and have lunch with 5 of my mothers in my classroom. Yeah. They took me out to celebrate like an end of the year, and they felt like they were like, you know what, we just really wanted to, do something nice for you, and I thought that was really sweet. And it's those type of relationships, that you want to build.
Yeah.
Where, and it makes your school year so much easier. It really does.
Yeah. All right. Numero 6. Write down your vision for yourself as a teacher. What are your goals or purpose as a teacher? Mm-hmm. So this is a good, and I know we talk about, I can remember my education courses pretty clearly. That's one of the assignments they give you, but it really does help. It really does kind of give you a mental picture of what you're hoping to achieve. And it can be something as simple as I don't know, I did like a web. What are the things I'm going to try and accomplish and how do I get there? What are some of your thoughts on that?
Well, so, like we talked about this earlier, we're our own worst critics, and you want to kind of veer away from, criticizing yourself as a teacher. When you write down your vision and the purpose of you being a teacher, one of the things that you should definitely include are, establishing relationships. That's how your classroom is going to function, is if you have that rapport with your students. And then also, is there a specific data vision that you want to get to? I know that sounds so teachery, quote unquote, but realistically, what do you want for your students? What is it that you need them to do for you? So even if it's something like, for my instance, because I'm kindergarten, I want all of my students to be able to learn 100 sight words, and this is how I'm going to get there. And yes, that's an academic vision, but at the same time, I know if they get that, that's going to open up so many more doors for different things that they'll be able to do.
Yeah, and it's good to have something that's objective and something that's subjective, something for yourself.
Yes.
And then we're gonna, and this is gonna be kind of more things that we'll talk about here. So, another thing from the article says personal vision or mission statement. Every school has its mission statement. I think I forget what I was saying. It was one of the interview questions I had when I was interviewing for my job.
Oh, wow. What's our school's vision? Is that what they asked you?
No, he asked me, how do you control your class? And I said, it's kind of like herding cattle. Like you can't, you gotta keep calm. Like if you start yelling and
chaos erupts.
So you just kind of keep in mind that it's so. Anyways, all right. So number 7.
Oh, yes. So this one's actually very key, and I know everybody does this. Number 7, don't neglect your body. Let me say that one more time. Don't neglect your body. So pretty much what we mean by that is you gotta sleep, you gotta rest, you gotta eat well, although I eat a lot of M&Ms. There's nothing wrong with that. And exercise. That is so important. Jeremiah, I'll tell you, one of the things that has kept me sane, as much as I hate doing it, but I would get up every single morning at 5:30 in the morning, and I would work out. And that was how I would start my day. that is one of the things that cleared my mind. And I am not a worky outy type of person. Like, I want to sit on the couch and watch Stranger Things and eat M&Ms and popcorn. But no, seriously, getting enough rest, getting sleep, eating well, exercise, that's really what's going to help keep you healthy. And especially as a first-year teacher, I'm sure you will all figure this out. You will get sick multiple times because they're like little petri dishes, especially in the elementary setting.
Oh, it's not even any better in the
holy
secondary.
moly.
It's not any better. Well, I mean, I guess in elementary, they all want to hug you and touch you.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Oh, they do.
I don't have to touch them.
Oh my gosh. Well, let me tell you, and one of the things that you'll find so bizarre is they'll look you dead in the eye, they'll pick their nose and they'll eat it, and they won't even break eye contact. It's the craziest thing.
I'm gonna hate this booger in front of you.
It's the most insane, and you just gotta wonder, like, does this feel weird? I feel weird doing this, you know? But yeah, so, and it really is, it's important too, because the amount of stress that you'll be under as a first year teacher, and I'm not trying to make you nervous or, you know, make you already have feelings when you know they're coming, but you have to focus on yourself.
You got to take care of yourself.
You do.
Yeah, that is number one. And I will say I am guilty of this. Again, this is not a visual format, visual medium to work in, but I'm overweight. I have diabetes, and I did not take heed the words of advice from people that talked to me. And so, you know, I burned through sick days because I was sick. I've had multiple complications from various things. So you really have to... You have to take the time to take care of yourself.
Yes.
And so as years have gone by, I've gotten better at it. And obviously when you're not as stressed, it's easier.
Oh, of course.
So as time goes on, it gets easier. But if you focus on those things now, then it'll make your life a world of easier.
It's just one less thing to have to worry about, you know? Yeah, your health. If you don't have your health, you have nothing, unfortunately. Yeah. And that's one of those things that, you know, a lot of people depend on us, and a lot of people in the future will depend on us as teachers. So you have to keep yourself nice and healthy.
Yep. Coming up on number 8 here, do something non-teaching related. I think that's the only thing that keeps me sane.
Yes.
Is my hobbies. I'm a nerd. I am super nerd.
That's all right. That's good.
I'm looking at my Magic the Gathering deck over on the side of the table here. I'm like, I can't wait to go play this today. D&D. So find something that you enjoy, whether it's nerd activities like me, whether it's binge watching Grey's Anatomy or Stranger Things, or maybe you're a exercise fiend, a hiking fiend. And if you're, luckily for you, if you guys are moving out here, if you're coming from out of district, out of state, I mean, we have some really beautiful places to go hiking.
Oh, yeah.
Red Rock Canyon, go down to Lake Mead, Bootleg Canyon. I mean, just multiple places to go and thing. What are some of the things you like to do, Kristen?
Oh man, there's a whole bunch. So I recently, and I know this sounds so weird, but I recently discovered Netflix. I mean, I knew what it was, but
not a secret.
Oh my gosh, I can't even believe such things exist. Like I was almost up for like 2 days straight watching Stranger Things because it's getting ready to have like the 3rd part, and my husband was like, you know, you got to sleep eventually. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I really need to see what's going to happen with Will. You know,
I started watching Lucifer today.
Oh yeah, I did. Okay, so is it so good?
I've seen 2 episodes. I'm like, wow, the devil's really cool.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But seriously, I can't even believe like Netflix is like my jam right now, and I'm like, why am I paying DirecTV almost $200 a month?
We're talking about moving in August when our current lease expires. Yeah. And I said, and right now the place we live includes cable. Like,
oh wow,
it's part of your rent.
That's nice actually.
It's part of your rent. And I said, you know, if we move, that's like the cable money's gone.
Oh yeah.
So are you going to be okay with just internet, Netflix, and Hulu? And she said, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, I mean, it's nice because the only reason that we really have DirecTV is because we're huge diehard Buffalo Bill fans. And yeah, I know. He's making faces at me again. Yeah, I know you can't see. But we watch we get the NFL package every football season. So, but I don't really understand why we keep it, because all I do is complain every month when I pay the bill. And so, yeah, but other than that, no, going back to the do something non-teaching related, one of the things that I enjoy, and by all means, I am no way, shape or form an art person, but I literally go to Michael's and I'll buy canvas and I'll paint. I know I'm not a good painter. I mean, it might just be me, putting some colors on.
You can find merch at our webpage.
There we go. Exactly. Like, you never know. Maybe it'll be famous. But I do that, and I usually incorporate my. I have a 3-year-old, and he likes to do that. Normally, he's. But also, I've been finding crayon markers on the door, the wall.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so he thinks that art just goes everywhere. Everywhere. So that's exciting. Thank God for magic erasers. That wonderful bald man, Mr. Clean.
Oh, yeah. Here's a pro tip. Something they won't teach you in college. When you get a smart Heine in your class who takes a permanent marker and writes on your whiteboard. If you take a regular Expo marker and draw over it, it erases right off.
No kidding.
It's crazy.
So it removes permanent marker.
Yeah.
Jot that down, people. That's important.
If there's permanent marker on your whiteboard, if you do an Expo marker over the permanent marker and then erase, it's gone.
That's incredible. That is a good tip. Know that, do that, understand it. That is amazing.
Love it.
Oh my gosh.
Keep it.
Oh, I love it.
Pro tip.
So, but yeah, doing something non-teaching related, that's going to keep your sanity, people. That's so important. And that goes back to don't neglect your body, because if that happens, well, then you're not going to have a very successful career, because you'll usually be sick pretty much all the time. So yeah, doing something non-teaching related.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So going on to number 9 out of our 10 wonderful tips. This one is super important, and that is cataloging every single success in the classroom. Now, Jeremiah, when I say every single success, that doesn't mean like, oh, Johnny didn't tell me off today, or Johnny learned to, tie his shoes. Well, that is a success. But, I would say more of the major milestones. Like if you have something like one of your students like learns all of their sight words, or you actually have a student that is so sweet, and they bring in what they love to do with me was they would bring in their letters. They would write their uppercase and lowercase on just like a coloring sheet and color a picture of like a minion in the background, and they'd be like, look what I did. So, and it was exciting because even though there was art in it too, but I would get see that actual visual of them doing like trying and doing their alphabet, and wow, they didn't write the letter Z backwards and things like that. And I was telling you off air, I had a bulletin board in my room where anytime they would bring me anything, even if it was a picture that they drew, I would have them hang it under their little section of their bulletin board, because that makes them, actually, get the feels. They feel good about it. Like, wow, my teacher has a special spot for me to actually put my stuff.
Yep.
So that's at least what I deal with. But so what are some of yours?
So in my kind of, I think I might just come at it differently. I take like anytime a kid writes me like a thank you letter, or brings me like I've got kids who are super artistic and they draw pictures.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
I mean, cards, whatever it is. I keep a binder of them so that I can kind of go back and say, oh yes, and it's just good. And again, we talked about it earlier, where you're your own worst critic.
Oh yeah.
And being able to go back when you're having one of those down or tough days, and you can just say, I do make a difference.
Oh yeah, you get to reflect on it, and it really, if you're having an awful day, it'll really boost those spirits up like immediately. So,
and I'm so excited because I got my first. It only took me 5 years. And I think it's different because again, secondary, but it took me 5 years. But I got my first teacher mug this year as a gift.
Oh yay!
I was like, yes,
that is like a rite of passage, of course. Yes.
So yeah, no, definitely keep track of that kind of stuff. Keep those letters. You'll find them to be I'm gonna say precious. I mean, I feel a little sentimental.
Yeah.
But it does, and then especially again for high school, you get those kids 1 year and then they're gone. They go up.
Yeah.
And then next time you see them is usually going to be at graduation.
Wow. Yeah. That's
so and that's a big big important bit.
Yes. And it goes back to, I was looking at some of the little notes underneath that we were talking about in the cataloging the successes in your classroom. I can think back in specifics too. I had a student, it was like my second or third year of teaching, and this little boy cried every single morning when he came into my classroom. I'm talking, we had early start. We started at 8 a.m. And I could either, yeah.
That's not early. Yeah.
I know, right? So we were there, and Mom was very, she was very coddling to him, which is not, I understand there's nothing wrong with that, to all the parents who are, love their student or their children very, very, very much.
I saw you kick your kid out.
Yeah, don't tell anybody. Right? But one of the things that I was reading in here where they were talking about, Alfredo smiled and when he walked into class and he didn't cry. And I'm thinking, that's part of what they wrote. And it makes me think about that student. And it was, I'm not even kidding, Jeremiah, it was like 3 months in a row. He cried. And I tried everything with this kid. And I was feeling a little down because he would cry for the first, hour and a half, 2 hours of the day. Wow. And then we finally had a breakthrough. I figured out that he loved Batman. So I went out and bought all the Batman stickers in the world of, Clark County. And every time he would come in, he'd get a Batman sticker. And we made a game out of it. I'd put on his arm, put on his head, and he just thought it was hilarious. And he would usually leave with about 7 Batman stickers. And eventually it just stopped because he understood that I was trying to, break through with him. And that was a huge success because that whole crying event stressed out my students. It stressed out me. I had to have strategists come in. It stressed out his mom. And to get over that hump and actually have the success it makes you feel good.
And we haven't really done this, but I think maybe this is kind of important. It says make a list of what's going on. So for this topic, make a list of what's going well. Identify your successes. Include every single tiny one. Alfredo smiled today when he walked into the class. James, write little notes to yourself.
Yes.
And even if you're not getting, like I said with my binder, but even if you're not getting something, but something you notice has changed. Yes. That's a success.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because that's one of those things that we always want to look at oh my God, I can't believe this happened today. Oh my God, I can't believe he did this or she did this. And it's one of you gotta steer away from the negativity and you have to focus on what's positive because that will make your life so much easier.
And that's... I'll have to remember that.
Yeah, keep it positive. I'm telling you, it'll change your whole mindset. You'll be like, wow, I'm so much happier.
See, my Post-its are my friend.
Yes.
I have Post-its on every square inch of my desk or computer screen of little things that because I'm kind of space cadet sometimes.
That's all right. So am I.
So they're there to keep me grounded. There, okay. And when you finish it, you take it off. All right. Last but not least, number 10.
Ooh.
Number 10. We made it. Take a day off. Now, unofficially, you don't have any personal days your first year. That's okay.
That's all right.
You have a flex day. Mm-hmm. Okay, your flex day is used for whatever purpose you need. I've taken it to go to a court hearing for things. Fun. I've had, I've taken it for, what was another one? I had to fly. I was stuck on a flight out. So I got that. But your flex day, you have to request in advance. Okay. But here in the biz of education, you get, in the Clark County School District, you're going to get 6 sick days advanced to you at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. And here in the biz, we like to call those at times mental health days.
Oh, yes. Those are important.
So you don't have to do it all the time. And I will be the first to suggest to you don't do it all the time. Don't. But come along end of April, beginning of May. Those kids are going to be antsy.
Yep, and you feel like you're going to crash and burn.
And you're going to be antsy. It's okay if you guys say, if I go into school today...
It's not going to go well.
It's not going to go well. Mm-hmm. And that's when you use your mental health days.
Of course.
Take them. Use them. Okay? They're there for you. You get 15 a year. Mm-hmm. The first 6 just come to you at the beginning. So there is not a dearth of sick days. But
I mean, but as you know, we get a lot of time off too.
Yes.
I mean, in those times we're planning usually, or something else is going on where we're getting prepped for our classroom. But you're absolutely right, Jeremiah. Like, you don't want to go in and let loose on the kids because you're having a moment.
Yeah.
So it would be better just to solidify that substitute to come on in and cover whatever day it is that you just need to step back. And and they say on here about taking those days to catch up on laundry. Oh Lord, the laundry in my house is the bane of my existence.
That's what summer vacation is for.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you right now.
You don't have enough clothes to get through the year? Come on.
It makes me laugh because I think about this meme that I saw on Facebook that talks about laundry takes me about 7 days. It takes me 40 minutes to actually wash the load, but then the other time
to put it away.
Yeah, totally. I hate folding clothes. It's not like it usually doesn't end well in my But other than that, But you really do do your laundry, take care. Hey, going back to that whole thing of taking care of yourself. Go to the dentist. Take a nap. Go for a walk. I love going for walks in my neighborhood. It's great. So, and it's all quiet and it's peaceful. So, if you need those days and, like Jeremiah was saying, if you don't have the actual time, the personal days, take it. Just take 1 or 2 of your quote unquote mental health days and everything will be fine. So I'm telling you, that will get you through.
All right. Well, it's been an exciting, fun premiere episode.
Yes.
We look so forward to doing this with you guys.
These are great.
We have a email address if you have questions about anything that concerns education. Please feel free to email us. It's teachingtodaypodcast@gmail.com. Again, teachingtodaypodcast@gmail.com. We are so happy to have you join us today. We have a Facebook page, Teaching Today Podcast on Facebook. Please like us there. That's where you can get all the latest updates and upcoming episodes and things like that. We want to thank CCEA for sponsoring the show, powering the show, letting us come here and be goofballs for the last hour or so.
This is what it's all about, people. You got to find a good person that you can hang out with and share stories with.
So until next time, we're gonna say class dismissed.
Class dismissed.